What would you say if there's one piece of advice when it came to elk hunting? What would you say because I asked Corey Jacobson this and Cliff Gray, what would you say the number one thing that people do wrong on an elk hunt?
First off, that's amazing, man. That dream season you had on that bull. It's like it's magic when it comes together. They are so dang difficult to outsmart. And the older they get, the smarter they get, or the more evolved their instincts get. They really do keep themselves safe inside the herd, don't respond to calls. I'd say like the one mistake, my answer is going to be drastically different than Corey Jacobson or Cliff Gray, because I don't use calls at all. I hunt a lot of high pressured areas, and high pressure doesn't mean that I'm combat hunting. Like I can still go find my own experience, but I'm really targeting these larger age class giant herd bulls that don't respond very good to calls, or they do respond to calls, but to get them to commit and come in and leave their cows to come see you is very difficult. And so I play this game where I spot and stalk, and I stay really silent, and I'll echolocate by their bugles and where their sounds and noises are coming from. And then I just kind of take what the elk give me. I move into 100 yards and I kind of know what I can get away with and what I can't. So I know when I have to freeze, let the herd work over a hillside, and then I'll close in again. And I like elk hunting because it's so aggressive that you have to make moves on elk. You can't make this calculated, methodical plan to sneak into 30 yards of this bedded bull, because they bed in thick cover. Very rarely do you stalk them in their beds. They're always on their feet and they're moving, and they cover a ton of country. And so, I just go silent, and I move slow, I move quiet, and I'm able to wait until that bull makes a mistake or that herd makes a mistake, and then capitalize. And the advantage it gives me is the elk don't know they're being hunted. They're just elk being elk. And if I don't kill him that morning, I haven't bumped him. I haven't given him my win. He doesn't know that he's hunted. So then he's going to come out that evening. And I kill a lot of bulls in the evening because they feed all night long. So they come to parks and they feed throughout the night, and then they move back to thick cover for the day. So in the evening, they're coming out of this thick cover. They're coming into these parks and open meadows to feed on the grasses throughout the night. And when they do that, I can keep my eyes on them and I can move in the shadows. And then also in the evening, like you talked about winds, it's a higher understanding of winds. If you could take one variable out of bow hunting, like there's more stalks busted by wind than anything else. And you mentioned thermals, like there's directionals and there's thermals. There's a way the winds move through the mountains. And so this higher understanding of winds makes you more effective when you do get an opportunity at a big bull. So in the evening, basically the sun goes down, and so it starts shading the hillsides. When the hillsides get shaded, that air starts to cool, that air starts to drop and fall. And that's what you call like a thermal wind. And that thermal wind gets really consistent downhill. So now I know I can approach these elk from downhill and be able to move in with a good consistent wind. So I've taken that variable out of the equation. So like as far as mistakes guys make, I think, whether you're calling, whether you're spot and stalking, just really like honing in or tapping into your instincts, so when to move and how aggressive to get. And I think it comes with experience. You can definitely pick up tips from writings and podcasts, but you have to implement that into your own hunting. But I think like real calculated plays, I think, you can't make any mistakes when you're stalking a bull. And I think keeping the element of surprise is everything. And that's, calling or spot and stalking is moving in close when you're in their bubble, when you start calling to him. So he has no option but to come check you out or grab his cows and go away. So there's like some different tactics you can make there. But I think just really tapping into your elk hunting instincts and trying to minimize your mistakes on them. But they're so dang difficult. The older they get, the more difficult they are. And like you say, you can hunt them for 7, 8, 9, 10 days, cat and mousing a bull, and never get a shot at him, never get an opportunity. And it's part of the thing that really hooks us. And it's what hooked you, like on that good year you had, is the whole challenge of it. Like it is the ultimate challenge that takes all this preparation, takes everything you have physically, and then mentally keeping your head in it. Like it's an endurance sport. You talked about being in good shape to close the distance on a bull, but you got to keep putting this effort, like your 12-mile day after day after day. And like a 10-day elk hunt is way more endurance than doing, a marathon, a 26.2 marathon. I can do a marathon in 3 hours. This elk hunt is going to take me 10 days of everything I have, day after day after day. So you have to keep putting that effort and really keep your head in the game. But yeah, man, it's the ultimate. That's why we love it and we're drawn to it.
Yeah. It's, people are like, oh, what's like the most you've hiked in a day? I'm like, dude, I did last year in Colorado here. I did a day that was like 16 miles and we did 4,200 feet vertical because I was in a really good unit. And I was like, I kind of know this unit a little bit, but I know I kind of have a feeling where they're going to be. But the only way I didn't know there was another way to get there. I thought you had to just like bust your ass up there or get horses. And I'm just like I don't want to deal with the horses. So I was like, let's just hike up there. And it took us all day. And we did. When we got up there, there were bulls and cows everywhere. It was just loaded up there. But the problem is it's so drastic of country that like, I was like, I didn't bring anything. I should have brought something. If I was just sleeping up here, I'd have a bull killed more. I know it because they were all talking back to us. So like, that's the first part. If they'll talk back, I can probably get in there and make a move. The hard part is being 6'6" and 280 pounds. Like that's the hard part because I don't hide well. I do everything I can to be sneaky, but it's like, it's like you said, man, you gotta be aggressive. So that's the mistake that I've made is that sometimes I'll sit and wait too much and overthink it. And then now the opportunity is gone because that opportunity is there and it's going to last a couple seconds and you got to go. And there's times especially this year where I was like, man, I should have just moved in there instead of waiting for him to come. We had this big bull I had him at 55 yards twice. He just was in the timber and wouldn't step out where I had good cover and they couldn't see me. And he had a bunch of cows with him and they couldn't see me. I should have moved up into that a little bit and got up there and tried to find a lane. But I didn't. And I was just playing it safe and made them the same mistake twice. And I was like, I'm not making that mistake again. And Brian, I'd swear I had another bull that was doing the same thing. And I had him in the timber and I went to move on him. And I might've stepped on the loudest spot in the forest because it made so much noise. I was so sneaky the whole time. And I was like, I'm doing great right now. I'm sneaking on these things so great. And I stepped into this, like, it was one of those, I was looking at these cows to make sure they didn't look at me. And I stepped and it was one of those things where it made so much noise that it scared the shit out of the elk. Like it scared them all and they all busted. And I was like, I can't believe that I just did. This is like a 4-hour stalk that I just did. And I just screwed it up with one step, but that's what keeps you coming back. Cause it was like, I was so close, so yeah.
And the evolution of a bow hunter, right? Is like you learn that mistake on that bull and now you said you won't make that mistake again. So you're evolving as a hunter in these plays you're making. And it's tough to describe on a podcast, but you have all the pressure on you when you're getting a chance or you're getting close to these elk. And those moves you have to make 100 right decisions to be able to kill that bull. And you mess up one of those or don't capitalize on the opportunity you see. And it's tough because you have to go all in. Like you might spook that elk like you did stepping on that stick, going for him, trying to close in, but you're just trying to factor all this in. And this goes like to your hard drive that's hardwired in, that the next time you have these decisions to make, like you don't think of that specific instance, but it all factors into your decision making for next time and makes you a better bow hunter. So you're evolving as these years and these seasons go on. You're getting better and better at capitalizing on these opportunities. When you see that giant bull, it gets you excited, man. It's beautiful. I love it.
Well, especially on public land, man, it's so fun because the other factor is other people. There's other people hunting in those same areas. So like you have to take that into account, you have to, and to me, I just try to use them. Right. So like whatever they're doing, I just try to like, I'm not that guy that's going to go bust somebody's hunt. Like I really think that that's one of the dirtiest things you can do. Like, that guy probably put in a ton of work to get to end position there and you're going to go ruin it for him. Because I've had it happen to me. So I tried to do my best if somebody's doing it. So I just I'll put myself in position to where if he busts these elk, I'll be there waiting, and stuff like that, which makes it even more fun because things just happen sometimes out there and you just get lucky, like a guy makes a mistake like I did, busts them up. Like when I busted those elk, they ran straight to this guy at the top of the mountain and he ended up shooting that bull. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
like, great. I was like, that's awesome. You know, there's plenty of bulls to go around. Like, I'm really happy that somebody, you know, had an opportunity, but he was like, dude, I just was kind of sitting here, you know, making some cow calls, trying to locate a bull. And the next thing I know, a whole herd comes right up and a bull stopped right like 25 yards right in front of me, just stood there. I was like,
Well, yeah, and it's that competition is a factor in it, you know, and yeah, I like it drives me more, you know. It's like you have to be the first one to the trailhead or the first one that's hiking in, so you have to be up early. You know, the elk are usually where people aren't, and so you have to figure out like where's the hunting pressure coming from and where are the elk gonna refuge or where are they gonna hold up at, and really like there's opportunity out there, and I love public land because you know we have the biggest ranch around. Like we've got the biggest rugged peaks, we've got millions and millions of acres that, you know, if you don't find elk in one spot, you can be mobile and move. And I really don't like combat hunting. I definitely, if somebody's in front of me, they have to play on those elk. I'm not going to go screwed up, just like you said. Like there's a respect between hunters. And I think even if somebody does mess up your hunt, hopefully it wasn't intentional. You know, sometimes it's just lack of knowledge, like that guy moving in with bad wind in and through there. Sometimes they get excited and they don't have the skill set and they mess up a play. But for the most part, like, you know, when I'm hunting public lands, I find my own experience. I go find the places where guys aren't. I go find where the elk are. And, you know, 9 out of 10 times or 19 out of 20 times, I have the elk all to myself to make plays, or the mule deer, whatever it is. And so, yeah, I actually like that competition factor. I think it drives me to go further, pushes me to go harder. You can't be lax. You've got to be there hours before daybreak, hiking in the dark. Like it just, you have to step up your level of play to be able to give yourself a chance at success. So yeah, it really doesn't bother me much. And I love like all the places I get to go and all the adventures I get to have. And I couldn't have that without this public land. So yeah, I don't seem to mind it much, but I love I think creative thinking is rewarded. Like game plans are rewarded. So like the way you're thinking about this, if a guy's in front of you, you're thinking of escape routes. So he's going to pressure the elk there. He's got the play. It's like, well, great. I'll move to that saddle because I know elk like saddles, and that's where the deep dark timber is. Like I think they're gonna that's their escape route. So now my play is to move to this escape route and try to play them there, you know. And so yeah, you can almost use the hunting pressure to your benefit without messing up somebody else's hunt. And yeah, and I just really believe like it seems like, you know, the more miles you put on or the steeper hikes you do or some of these places that we get, you can just separate yourself from the hunting pressure. In a lot of these places I hunt, you know, I don't see a hunter in multiple days of hunting there, much less like when I'm into the elk. It's just me versus them. And so I think you can still create like really good encounters, really good adventures, really good experiences, even hunting public land.
oh yeah, well, and it all depends on the state, you know, like Colorado that was my first experience elk hunting, was an over the counter hunt here in Colorado. And it was just like we were at the trailhead at, you know, 3:30 in the morning, and there's still people that had already beat us. I'm like, how are they getting here? Are they just sleeping here? Like they have to be. There's no way somebody beat us on this trail. You know, so the next day we wake up even earlier, you know, it's like, okay. And you play that game, and we went 4 days, never seen an elk. Never seen one. Didn't even hear one bugle. But there was fresh sign everywhere. And I just showed you how those pressured elk are not going to talk. Like they're just not going to talk.